Okay. On Fresh Prince, you appeared on the show about 3 times or so.
I did a couple of I did a cameo on Fresh Prince with little Richard Penniman. We're both the same age. He is so funny. I also did a little Richard on Dollars with Richard Brooks. He was in the picture, and to introduce the two of those guys, Little Richard and Big Richard, was the funniest. I have pictures of that, and that is a combination. Little Richard and Richard Brooks. It was just great.
Just to finish up on Fresh Prince, what would you say was the impact of that show over 5 or 6 years that it was on?
Well, it was the impact. I think was a combination of uh, the both sides of the economic strata, of the black community, which is glaring. I mean that gives you a premise for every episode. When you got one from Philadelphia that got thrown out of out of the house, he was too much trouble to come out here with his bourgeois family, and every move he makes, is a scene for entertainment, and for conflict, and that's when you got a good premise for a series, because it has to keep moving and to change and to deal with strong themes sometimes, and they would like themes sometimes, but it gives you a premise to go wherever you want to go, and it was a balance. Cosby started a whole new thing with his last TV show, and so did Will, because that was a combination of both sides of the fence, duck out of water.
Talk to me about In the House. How did that show come about, and what was your role there?
In the House was something we tried to develop at first at CBS. Yeah, when because we were on our way to see Sagansky, and we stopped off at NBC with Fresh Prince. He was not happy about that. We went on our way that was amazing, because he always teases me about that. And In the House, I think Bob Iger was there, and we were trying to, it's building a foundation for any story. It's always there's only two things in our business, and I mean my side of the business, and that's a song and a story. The rest of it, happens after you get the best song and you get the best script, and sometimes. You have to shift gears in midstream on stories, and you have to try different elements with casts, which everybody does all the time. My daughter was in Boston Public for a while, and so David Kelly shifted gears 3 or 4 times, to try to get it to be able to say that's it. That's always fascinated me in the creative part of our business. Is Stravinsky puts it like it's always a choice of one out of many. Got lots of possibilities, but you have to choose one. And that's the difference. And what is it that makes people know or understand that that's not it yet, that's not it yet, that's it. I think that's where the divinity in what the creative process is about is all about, really. That's it.
So how does that dovetail with In the House?
In the House, we've started to play with changing the characters. We got Alfonso back in the show. Debbie came in as a lead character, Debbie Allen, and you just have to. It's almost like playing with it till it gets well. It's like a rhythm section in the band, really.
What was the show?
Trying to develop it, and it didn't have the kind of clarity, the same clarity we had in Fresh Prince. Because if you have, that's again where if you got the right melody, it's easy to do all the things that accoutrements. And if you don't have that clarified in terms of character development and everything else, sometimes you get in trouble. Not in trouble, but it's not as clear as the other one.
Was the show created with LL Cool J in mind?
Yes, absolutely. Tailor-made. And because Debbie directed the pilot for the Fresh Prince too. Debbie Allen. She sure did.
And you were, I'm assuming, deeply involved in the casting and the beginnings of the show.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sit and watch everybody walk in the room. And in fact, I went to New York on Fresh Prince to get the mother and little Tatiana.
Let's talk just a little bit about some of the mini specials you've been involved with over the years. We talked a little bit about the Duke Ellington special. Is there anything particularly to say about that 10-part history of rock and roll that I think your company produced?
With Salt,
Mm-hmm.
it was what it is. You know, I find that like that something like that and say it loud. You know, because actually you get directors and stuff that come in and kind of take over. You know, and you're involved somewhat, but the I find the biggest problem with anthologies is you can never get it all in. I found the same problem with my book. You can't get it all in. You really can't. At one point you have to, or even if it's like box set compilation albums, you constantly you go from 113 songs to 76 songs. You know, you can't get it all in. And that's always frustrating. And maybe that one day there will be a platform where we have a long enough form to be able to be inclusive of everything. But it's, I don't know, everyone has a different kind of a challenge. And I think one of the things I'm most passionate about, probably until the rest of my life, will be is to try to be a part of instrumental in helping America understand America's music. Everybody in the world gets it. They really do. Very well. With Japan, all of Europe, you know, they get it. They understand it. And it's sad how unaware we are of our own music. It really is. It's sad. And that's the music that the entire world used chose as the Esperanto, the youth of the entire planet, Estonia, every place on the planet. And I think we know least about our own music. It's like that. It's as though black or white. You have little tunnels, this and myopic about this, Limp Bizkit or whatever, rap or whatever it is, you know. But I'm talking about the entirety, the breadth of our music. You know, I would bet my life that the kids in Germany have to study the 3 Bs. It's mandatory, you know, by Beethoven, Bach, and Brahms. And in time, it may be 25 or 50 years, you're going to see the same thing here. Jazz is the classical music of pop music and always will be. Miles Davis's record stands along in that charts, in the pop charts of the continuous, you know, the pop records, you know, like Pink Floyd or Fleetwood Mac or whatever. Kind of Blue has been in the charts 40 years, man. 40 years. I mean, you know, it's what kind of music can have that kind of longevity and hold up there, because it has it's a foundation really of pop music. When I think of all the R&B people that really knocked, you know, with like the tent poles, because they dipped in that repository of jazz, you know, whether it be Marvin Gaye or be Stevie Wonder or Donny Hathaway, Earth, Wind and Fire, or Michael Jackson. That's why they stick through there, because they dip back into the jazz, you know. But the jazz is such a rich repository of what our culture is about, because it eats everything. You know, it's like a big termite, you know, quadrilles and everything.
So are you pursuing anything along those lines?
A lot on every level, from the Doubleday, the book level, from pre-grade school to all the way to Harvard with Skip. I'm involved in the Encyclopedia Africana too. We own that, you know, with Skip, and it came out as Encarta Africana. Because the history, you know, when you define history, it helps you understand how to go forward, and you know where you have come from. And I think, especially in the music, though, you know, this sounds very, very presumptuous. The kids. I just visited the kid in Washington 4 days ago. That was the 13-year-old the sniper hit. And I spent an hour with him. And the doctors called yesterday and told me he went home the next day, you know. Beautiful little kid, quiet, you know, into math, you know, everything. And it just tore me up because he got hit here, and those 223 bullets are designed with some demented mind to expand and turn around and open up and go all up here and everything else. And anyway, this is a fantastic hospital, and they saved him, they cleaned everything out, and he went home. And I do feel, and when we were doing the not producing inaugurations and all those things, I used to talk to Clinton Gore about America having a minister of culture. I think it's very important. We get all of these accolades from Legion of Honor and the arts and letters and everything from the French, and I just got from Chirac, the commander of the Legion of Honor, you know, and Marilyn Bergman said she cries, you know, when she thinks that we don't even have that here. It's as though that's not important here. And I think with the melting pot and the soul of this country and the music that is provided all over the planet, you know, we don't have the proper respect for it or the proper perspective, you know. In school, when the funds go away, they take the pop music away, leave classical music, European music, you know. And that my dream is to see that become more and more important, so that all the kids can feel the power of all because you know the lives of the people are involved in that music. It's not one person that started gospel music; it was millions of people, and it reflects the whole history of what this country is about, really. And I just would love to see it to where it could be a little more understanding and a democratic taste in terms of being able to enjoy the whole breadth of everything. And I mean, I'm not into that. I'm not into this. I'm not into that. When they're all connected anyway, you know, it's just whether it's gospel, jazz, or rhythm and blues, or whatever. It's all the same stuff, you know. I mean, country, western, everything. It's a gumbo. You know, it's a big gumbo. It all interdependent, and I feel that. When I think of and put myself in the place, I have 7 kids from 9 to 49. I put myself in the place of all of these episodes that happen in Oregon or Columbine and all these things, you know. And you think of the teenage kids that are looking up and they say, man, God must really be pissed off. You know, it's the Catholic Church, you know, the American corporate scene. It's got to scare a young person to death, you know, all of the leaders, you know, the graft and corruption and everything else, for them to feel like, where's their place on this planet? And my goddaughter was in the University of Arizona, and I called. I was so worried, you know. This little clown that took the 3 teachers out and himself just to drive her to school, you know. And it hits real close to home, you know. And it's sad. It's sad enough for they're victims too, you know, because they take out all the other kids and then they take themselves out. And I mean that means that they're spiritually bankrupt, you know. And I believe very strongly in what deposits spiritually, how important it is. And I see the kids that come in and out of our business, whether it's television or movies or records or whatever, they hit 2 or 3 categories, you know. The entourage, you know, with the smoke, you know, you're great, man, and everything else, bang, bang, bang. That's very typical. Or not let your income get in the way of your lifestyle. That's another one. You know, we've seen thousands go in and out of that and blow their lives apart with it. I don't want to call any names, you know. I'm watching it right now with several, you know, that was, you know, it hurts. And I think if there was a little bit more concern, not about the Benjamins, because that's one of the problems, you know, because when you get into the Benjamins, that's when God gets off. And the spirituality's gone then, because if you are creating something and you're trying to think about money, you got a big problem, man. You can put the stack of $2 million there next to a piano. They have no conversation with each other whatsoever. They don't correlate, you know. So it's got to go. Got to be another.
Okay, let me just hit a couple of real quick things and we'll wrap up. you produced the Academy Awards in 1996.
Hmm.
Talk a little bit, if you would, about the challenges of producing a live award show like
It's like running through producing Academy Awards, like running through hell with gasoline underwear on.
that.
No, it's amazing. Uh, you get. I was on the board of the Academy with the music branch for years and so forth. And again, familiarity helps you go through things. But just the way it's designed, you can't yell at anybody because you're not paying anybody outside of your staff. And so the stars, so and just rounding the stars up, and trying to keep everybody so that they go through to the end. Because a lot of things happen, the ego things happen. Uh, I don't want to be with so and so. No, 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 no. I don't want him to give me the award. It's insane. But you get to see everybody the day before you shoot. That's it. You think there's 3 weeks of rehearsal before? No way, buddy. The day before you do the show, you have all these people with 15 minutes apiece to come in and talk about what their script is about, their dialogue, if they want to change this or fix that and everything, and just really just to see each other. Most of the people you know already anyway. And they say, well, why aren't you more stressed out and nervous? And I said, I'm not. I mean, I'm not going to waste my energy with that. We're just trying to do a nice show now. And I'm praying for a terrible dress rehearsal so we do a good show. Because the good dress rehearsals are what puts you in trouble. And mechanically, everything was going wrong on the dress rehearsal, which was perfect. That means everybody's going to be paying attention on that show, because that is a long and hard show, man. Never stops. And 2 minutes before Chris Reeve goes out, he says he does not want to use the Superman theme now. Okay? You know how many people you have to load to notify to get that theme out? Forget the musical director. You got to get to everybody. Just the cameras and everybody. And there's thousands of things like that happen. To keep the censors on the network people off of Robin Williams with his material. It's amazing, and it's fun. I'm not saying I don't enjoy it, because it's really living dangerously. And you trust Margolis. Jeff Margolis, he had the lady from the Holocaust. Just actually, there's this unspoken rule that if you go over so and so minutes with your speech, the band cuts you off. And something made him hold up. And got one of the most moving speeches of the night, because the best part of the show. The important part of the show is to figure out what you can put your fingerprints on. The other stuff is fixed, it's given. And where can you touch it? And then there's the serendipity that's just totally the moments that happen with, whether it's with Christopher Reeves or Sorvino watching his daughter get the Oscar, the emotional moments. And that stuff you just have to let it happen, It's a trip. That's all. The inauguration in Washington, it's the same stuff. It's no joke.
You turned Vibe into a television show for a little while.
Right.
Did that work?
No, we totally blew that one, because the concept that we wanted to put on the air never hit the air. Never, not once. TriStar. We still talk about it. I see Steve Moscow and Russ Krasnow. We never could get in on it, because we were dealing with comics as the center piece, and if you do a billboard and a monologue and an interview, you're doing a talk show. And I did not want to know about a talk show. We wanted something that represented the magazine. The good news is I spoke with Emil Wiviken today, and they've got a weekly show they're going to do, Weekend Vibe, and they're going to do with Babyface and Tracy. They're going to do a HBO, a 6-hour miniseries on the genesis and the evolution of hip hop, based on the book we put out with Alan Light. Alan Light used to be one of our editors at Vibe, and then he went to Spin, but he wrote a hip hop book in the interim. and they bought that book and they're going to put it out. That should be nice, you know. And then we're also trying to put together a special now on the 10-year anniversary. It's our 10th year anniversary, you know. So the baby's growing up.
Wow. Can you talk just a little bit about your involvement with Mad TV?
I was involved with Mad TV in the beginning, you know, and I haven't been lately. You know, I haven't been very involved. And, you know, it's David Saltzman was running it fine, and when Max Adams and all the guys were over there, they had it covered.
Can you talk in general terms about the importance of a musical score in a television production? What role it plays, how important it is?
The role of music in television or movies or any images, the music is very simply, the music serves two functions. It deals with tension and release. Very simple, from dissonance to consonance. And that's tension and release. And it is enormous, has enormous power to paint your psyche. It really does. It has a magical ability to paint the psyche emotionally. We call it sometimes emotion lotion because it does. It hits you. Nothing hits you harder than music.
Has its role changed at all? Is it still the same as it was when you got into it?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's only two ways to go, though. I mean, you can do three. You can do all source music, which is just a combination of selecting the appropriate records for that are records designed for radio and so forth, and have it so it coordinates. Like Waiting to Exhale. They did the 10 divas, you know, and they put them all over the picture at the right places. That's one side. The other one is representative music, which is Mickey Mousing, which means going up the steps music with the actors, what the eye sees, that's what the ear does, you know. The swell, the kiss, down in the music does all the with it, they go back down the stairs. That's representative. Very strong stuff, but that's what the original composers did. We're coming from Wagnerian leitmotifs, you know, and opera and so forth. Then the school we all fell in love with was, you know, because you have to get your ground principles together before you can stretch out, is to have an oblique relationship to what you see. You know, so you leave a chasm here that the audience can get involved in. You know, for instance, I mean, with a lot of European films, Fellini, you'll see a carnival scene, and as the camera pans over in the marshes there, somebody's getting strangled, right? There's a murder going on, but the music is boom, beep, beep, boom, beep, beep, with a calliope and so forth. That's very powerful too, because it's opposite forces that are playing emotionally, and it's not telling you exactly what to feel. So I think it's going to stir up more emotion. And the truth is, the bottom line is the combination of all three when they're in the film work unbelievably well. Like Midnight Cowboy, you know, when you had everybody's talking right. You had the Toots Tillman theme, and underscoring. Once Upon a Time in America. I mean, man, Morricone is one of the greatest film scores that ever lived. You know, I mean, it's emotion. And he had Amapola, you know, and he had everything. He had source, representative, and the oblique approach. And it's the three of them together really do it for me.
What advice would you give to an aspiring composer in television or film?
Television composer? Well, I mean, I don't differentiate between the television and movies, even though it's different, though. But it's still the same thing. It's the art of trying to accompany a comedic or dramatic situation. I don't know, man. I guess listen to what the best guys have done. That always works, you know. I mean, it's when we were kids with bebop. We'd try to play like Miles, try to play like Charlie Parker, like Patsy Navarro, and when you come out of that, there's 10 different people, and your personality is going to finally not transcend that, but morph into its own personality, because it is a personality. And if you have traveled the roads of all the great people, but I think that happens with anything. If it's a cameraman, you look at Serraro or whatever, all your favorite people, and just deal with just the best, or like classical composers or whatever, or people that deal with drama, with the elements of drama. Because they all do it a different way, and jump into it, jump all over it. I'm serious, just don't be bashful, jump into it, try to copy it just like it is. Not you can't do this on a professional level. I mean, in training your mind, to think on that level, the highest level. Go with everybody, from Johnny Williams to Goldsmith, to Alan Silvestri, Stanley Clarke, everybody.
How would you like to be remembered?
Remembered? As a good daddy, as a good father.
Okay. I think we're set.
Okay.
Quincy Jones, thank you so
you.
much.
Enjoyed it. Very beautiful, man.